Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the SmartCEO Podcast. I am your host, Alena Conley, Program Manager for the SmartCEO Capacity Builder and Senior Division Leader for Coaching and People Development at the Kyra Company. And today I am joined by two of our cohort members, Ms. Hope Malveaux, as well as Mrs. Miracle Semien. They are the CEO and COO of Veaux Pro. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So we're excited to have both of you on. So I'll start with whoever wants to take the first question, but I would love to know, how did you all decide that you wanted to dive into entrepreneurship versus taking more of a traditional 9-to-5 route?
Whoa, that's a loaded question. I don't know that, for me, I don't know that I actually decided. I think that that's just where my career ended up. I saw so much that I wanted to do with other people's businesses. And we know how that goes. You don't get to control someone else's business. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the oil and gas space and saw a lot. And we were like, okay, I want to impact that in a different way. And I feel like entrepreneurship found me. I would answer that.
For me, entrepreneurship has always been in my family. I have a list of family that has had beauty shops. My dad reselled furniture. There was this old TV show in Houston where he would go around and try to mess with people for them to go off. I cannot remember the show, but my dad was on it way back when. And of course, he's a godly man, so he never lost his cool. But I remember helping my brother sell candy. I used to braid hair, so I've always had that entrepreneurship in me. And so I knew it would come. It was just embrace it. You already know it. You're probably born into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That entrepreneurial spirit. So tell us a little bit about the service that you all offer.
Yeah, so we like to call what we offer a conscious HR approach. And so for us, we've done HR, we've done it what we would consider to be the traditional way. If you're in HR, you already know what I'm talking about. Like, you're running behind tasks and you are a strategic partner, but you're not necessarily seen as that. And so the way we do HR is we do an inside out approach. So we look within the organization. We have a very intentional focus on culture. Like, your workplace culture determines everything. And so we listen to the employees, we talk about engagement, then we build out what we call behavior mapping, and everything comes from that. So policies are created based on that. Of course, it does align with the business goals and the visions and all of that, but it's a very conscious approach to building out HR with a very human-centric focus. And that's really what makes us unique, I would say.
Yeah. So how is that going? Because we come from similar industries, and I think that we're in an interesting time where we have multiple generations in the workplace, right? We're in a very interesting political climate. And so you see a lot of things in the news that really just talks about how the work environment, especially for leaders going forward, is going to be very interesting, because it's going to be up to them to help mitigate any tensions culturally because of different ages and beliefs and cultures. And so when you're going in and trying to help people establish culture, number one, how has it really been? Like, outside of just the mythology, what has been some of the good, bad, and ugly of what you've seen? And then what do you think the future of it looks like for organizations?
Yeah, start just the generational. We have all generations in the workplace right now. And we talk about generation and how to motivate and all of that. But the basis of that is people just want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. They want to feel heard. So if you approach it with that mindset, you'll tackle how to communicate to all of the generations. And it's an interesting time for leaders when it comes to culture, because a lot of leaders don't know how to articulate what they want to see. So they are running around saying, I need new staff. I want to fire everybody. I can't find the Gen X people. They don't want to work. Millennials do this, all of these like complaints, but you've never taken the time out to articulate and write out what you want to see, the behaviors you want to see, and then we can start to making sure that we see that behavior across the workforce, and then making sure there's accountability, there's consequences for not doing those things, and then we can start to see the shift. But the biggest disconnect is the leadership, and even mid leadership not even knowing what they want. So we go through the process of saying, if you had that perfect employee, what would he be doing, or he or she be doing or not doing, and then go from there and build the recruiting strategy, build the performance improvement, everything based off the standard that we want to see.
Yeah.
That's good. I want to speak to the challenge. That was, really good, Miracle. I think the challenge that we're facing, to your point about what's happening politically, what's just happening in the environment, how AI is now being the future of how we work. The biggest challenge is a mindset shift. And I don't know that this is a new challenge. I just say it's the biggest challenge. I think it's always been there, where people really believe that we should treat people the way we want to be treated. And I think fundamentally that just makes no sense. Treat people the way they want to be treated. We need to understand that. And then we work backwards to give them all those things that Miracle's talking about. You being clear about your expectation, you having a mindset where everything is not just A and B. It might be C and it might be D. And we have to be leaders, specifically have to become more agile in how they operate in order to take care of their staff, take care of their future workforce. Because no longer are we in the times where we can just say, here is what I want you to do, and it just gets done. It just doesn't work that way anymore. And I always say, back in the day, we say newspaper. I'm old. I'm definitely dating myself, but we would always say, if it ended up on the front of the news, would you be okay with it? We have to start making decisions with even that in mind. If it ends up on social media, if you're doing a thing, it ends up on social media, would you be okay? Would you be fine? And that's what we should be measuring too, like how the perception of how we behave and what we do as leaders, what does that actually look like, and how does it impact our workforce?
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping that in mind, when you think about, for example, one of the things, Hope, that you've mentioned coming into the SmartCEO Capacity Builder was that you wanted to scale your business by taking on larger corporate contracts, right? Larger corporations. And so when I think about culture shifting and larger corporations, that seems to be the harder side of it, right? If you had a small startup or a startup that's scaling, like you're there from the beginning and you can help infuse that culture. But it's almost like you're going into the beast and trying to fix something that's already probably broken. And so when you decided that's how you wanted to scale, how are you planning to tackle, for example, going into an organization that's been around for 100 years, primarily run by old white men, leadership all looks the same. Our future president-elect is saying he doesn't want anything that represents DE&I of any sort. What do you think is going to be Veaux Pro's approach for helping build culture in those type of organizations?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. There's so
I'm
much.
with all the loaded questions today.
Yeah, you should be the
Anybody
question.
listening to this, by the end of it, they should want to hire you based off how you answer.
Let's go. Okay, so let's just talk what's fact. Fact is there is a new generation coming into the workforce. Okay. I presume that these businesses want to stay in business. Okay. In order to do that, the value proposition for that, the way you're going to continue making profit is you're going to have to hire the younger generation. They will be your leaders. They will be taking over these organizations. And if you want the organization to remain in business for another 40, 100, 30, 60 years, you're going to have to adapt. That is just the truth. So what Veaux does is I talk to you about the mindset shift. We understand that is not an overnight thing. It really isn't. So we take time to, one, coach and train leaders on how to create these expectations and these standards. Generally, we want to start small. Our background is in merger and acquisition work, so we understand what disruption looks like. And I do want larger companies to look at what we're talking about as a major disruption in your organization, because it is. AI is a major disruption for a very traditional company who's used to doing things manual, and a computer, like sending emails, was their technology. That's what they did. Everything is still being done on Excel. Right now, you're about to experience a major disruption in your business that's not only going to affect how you do business, but it's going to affect your clients, who you do business for. And if you want to stay in business, you have to create a culture that's sustainable. Yes, it's going to be a challenge, but it has to happen because we've just identified that the folks that are in your organization, they're going to require more of you. Your clients, your customers are going to require more of you. That only happens with a culture shift. So the reason we decided to pivot to Fortune 500 companies, bigger organizations, one, there's a major need. There is a value add to shifting their culture. We found that we all know the Gallup's study, right? If we're going to just speak numbers, statistics, that if a work staff is engaged, you get 20% more production. And that's just on the lower end, 20% more production. And that equals profit. So what does it look like to have a 20, 30, 50, 60% profit increase in your organization? That starts with the culture shift. That starts with you understanding what your culture is, understanding the future of your culture, doing an assessment, determining those different areas that you need to build out expectations. And I can almost promise you that if there are outlined expectations, if your folks know what to do, then they will produce. They will be engaged if they're empowered to do. The traditional company doesn't have a choice. So you can go with Veaux or you can go with the other guy, but culture shift has to happen. I feel like we should be talking about that when we talk about AI. We should be saying AI and culture shift, because if you don't have an innovative culture, then you're not going to embrace the new AI. You're just not going to be able to do it. So it's really outlining those expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
You should hire Veaux to do it. We're the best in the business with behavior mapping. So why
I
not?
love that.
And implementation, another thing I see companies struggle with is implementation. And you will always hear me talk about that. It's cool to get a template. It's cool to get tips and tricks on what to do. But you really need a company that will walk with you during the journey, because like you said, it's a journey. It's not easy. And you're going to have tough conversations with your leadership, making tough decisions, and you want data to back it up. So a lot of things that we do, it is data-based. We're not going to say, okay, we need to X out this department because XYZ. Let's follow the data and then make that decision. So implementation of a culture is by far the hardest thing. And I think some people see the buzzwords online and think that they can just do it on their own.
Yeah.
It's not a culture statement.
How long would you say, like if someone is listening and they're like, we need that, how long does it typically take from the time you come in and assess to the time someone's okay, I feel like we're making prominent change?
Okay, it's not immediate. Go ahead, Miracle. Go ahead.
I was definitely going to say, for a larger organization, you should definitely expect a 2-year, almost 2.5 year. The good thing about it is you do see some changes. You'll start to see their language change, the way we approach it. You'll see employees say, that's not in line with the standard, or we're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. But true implementation will take about a good 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like for organizations to think about their favorite restaurant. It's really easy, or our hotel stay. It's really easy for people to conceptualize it when you're thinking about an experience that you've had. When we think about culture shift, that's what we're thinking about. We're literally thinking about Chick-fil-A, how we can go anywhere and experience that same thing. Like, we know my pleasure, right? We're waiting for it. If it's not there, we're like, okay, this person must be new, because their culture is so tight. It doesn't matter where you go in the country, in the US, that you will find, like, you're going to always find that same level of customer service, right? So companies, we want you to start thinking like that. Even these traditional companies, that is the same thing your consumer gets. But here's the good news: your employees know what to do. Everybody's speaking the same language. If we think about Ritz-Carlton, the exact same thing is true. You're going to have an experience. Their motto is ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. How do you do that? We define customer service very differently than, let's say, the Holiday Inn Express. That's not the same level of customer service, though they're offering the same service. It's a bed, it's a room, but it's this certain level. So I challenge leaders: what's your client pool? What do you want that to look like? How do you want to increase your profits? Who do you want to work there? That's where intentional culture comes in, because you're going to attract the clients that way. You're going to attract amazing staff that way. And you want your services more now than ever to be duplicated. You want it to be something, you bring someone in from the start, they're integrated, they're not orientated, they're integrated into your culture. And we have a very traditional way of doing things. From performance review, came back in, what was that, World War II?
Yeah.
Or military, right? Like, they rank their soldiers.
How they rank soldiers is the same way. So basically the way HR has been operating is the same thing. So the way we do performance review is the same way that they would rank soldiers back in World War One. And think about it, it's like a ceiling. Like, I want you 1 to 10. How is Alena's communication? 1 through 10. But what if we do want her to go beyond, over and beyond, and have the autonomy to ask deeper questions and figure out the root? And so having a different approach to do culture. And so what happens is you teach the people coming in. I always give the example, I have a 7-year-old and twins in the Semien way. That's my 7-year-old is teaching the twins, oh, we don't do that. We don't put food in mom's basket when we go to Sam's. You got to ask. I don't have to get on them. He's telling them how we do it. And you want that same thing to happen, your culture to be so on point. And so the employers are like, oh, wait, we don't do this.
We do this.
Yeah, are we do
Or we
this?
show up a certain way. I love that. That's articulate. I love that. And I think that even when you give that as an example for someone who is desiring that, they can like touch and feel it. And they're like, okay, that makes me want to like press through these 2 years, because they want to get to that space of the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, I want to shift just a little bit, and outside of just understanding what you do as a business, I want to also lift the curtain for those business owners who are tuning in. So we know a lot of people that listen to the show or are a part of our community are maybe a step behind you or right where you are in terms of trying to figure out what's next. And so I want to get a little bit into, okay, what did your journey look like? Did you first start off as like solopreneurs just offering one-to-one services, and then you all teamed up, or what was that? Like, how did you end up offering more professional services, or like, what was that actual journey of forming this company?
Good question. Okay, so I left a company that Miracle and I both were working at, doing mergers and acquisition. And when I left with the idea that I would change workplace cultures, I believe that my exact words was I was going to challenge the status quo of how business did business. That was the dream. That was the why. And when I left, the company hired me. So I really did have a great start. So the company I left hired me to continue doing the merger and acquisition HR work that I was doing just from a consultant hat. It lasted for about 4 to 5 months, I would say. And then Miracle, I'll let you interject at any point where you come in from this story. And that happened in 2019. And that was my first client. I was making really good money. And then we all know the pandemic happened in 2020, right? And so in Miracle came over in 2019 too. So I left in April and then had the client for about 5 months. And then Miracle came over with me. And I'll let you explain why you did that. And then we began a major startup struggle. So it was because I have an MBA, but that's school. That's not reality. And that's also not a startup, to be clear. It's cute. It's nice to have, but it did not give me everything I needed. If I were to fast track this for someone who's listening, I would say a community changed how I did business. And what I mean by that is I got with the Kyras of the world. I got with Kyra and some other collaborative partners. And first, I just listened. I just tried to understand, how do I scale this business? How do I grow this business? I wasn't even using those words. I was just like, I want clients. And they changed my language. So I got around people that were doing what I wanted to do, but were further ahead of me. So that might look like going to networking groups and jumping on calls with people that you don't know. Free SBA, those free classes. I believe that's actually how I ran it. I ran into Kyra at an event. Anyway, but it's really putting yourself in the community, finding people of like minds, because had I stayed where I was and started talking to people that were on my level, I don't believe that I would be where I'm at now with the organization. It took a whole lot of faith and a whole lot of crazy to do it. And to keep doing it, by the way. But Miracle, I'll let you interject on what the journey looked like for you.
Yeah, for me, so me and Hope worked together at that company. She left, and then I joined shortly after. And I feel like my approach to culture and the work that we do, it was always simple to me. Like, I didn't understand why every company wasn't the best place to work. Like, treat your employees, we always like to say, with the fruits of the spirit: love, gentleness, kindness, all of those things. But that's not everyone's story. And so we started Veaux, and we had it from that mindset. The first thing we did was actually create the technology for engagement that we still have today. And the pivoting part for us for me, was getting into accelerators, community, and then really learning how to network. Like, people hear the word networking and it can be daunting, but it's really just having relationships and establishing connections with others, and then remembering what they said. And, oh, we talked about this, let me follow up with you. I think that is something that has definitely helped us a lot along our journey, to be intentional about the relationships. Even when it comes to Kyra, we started working with a construction company, and she brought us on, and she was like, hey, they need help with this. And she did that 2 or 3 times. And so just continuing that and helping someone else to say, hey, you have expertise in X, Y, and Z. I can't do this alone. Let's partner. So partnership is very beneficial for us, for sure, along the journey.
Yeah.
I do want to add one other thing. I think the major mistake that we make as business owners is we don't want to share. Like, we really think that we have this, I don't know, this unique, you might really have a unique perspective and all of that, but we're designed to operate as a community. And so just get rid of the mindset and be careful. Of course, you don't want to do business with everyone, test it, but it's really about relationship building and understanding that you're the gift and you can give. It's okay to be like, okay, I'm going to be a subcontractor. Oh my God, I've been a subcontractor 1,000 times and it's amazing. It's one of my revenue strategies. It's a part of it. Like, how can I get some subcontracting work where my Veaux is not on anything, but I get to still make money and I get to support whatever that initiative is and the experience and all of that. And I still get to say I did it. So just be open-minded. I wasn't at first. I didn't understand that part of the business, that sometimes in order to be a great leader, you also have to be a follower.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about your experience in the program. So we know that some of our pillars are things that you've even mentioned today, like collaboration. We also really stress things like bankability, supply chain readiness. So between those pillars and all of our various sessions, what were some of the things that you felt like you really leaned into in these last 6 weeks?
First of all, the program came at a very good time because we were focusing on those Fortune 500 companies, and we had originally only worked with small to mid-sized companies. And it's really the strategy sessions. Let me tell you, the SME that was brought in to talk about the value prop and how from supply chain and how companies view suppliers, what you needed to have in order to not necessarily get the meeting, but kill the meeting, right? It was like a cheat code. I remember in the course, I was just like, okay, I have to hurry up and write this down. I was like, no, it's recorded. I can focus because it literally gave us step by step. And as a matter of fact, as a result of that, we're working on a pitch right now that we are literally taking, and I'll tell you why y'all are different. We've been in 4 to 5 accelerators. So we know these things, okay? But it was literally like pulling the curtain back and saying, this is what you need. It's the practical tools, not just this is how you do it, and here's the tool you use to get it done. Both of them at the same time versus this is how you do it, and I still don't know the tool to use. Right. So I know how you build a house. But do I need saws, nails, what do I need?
Yeah, I remember that first session, you were like all in. I remember he like called you out and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on slide 1. Wow. I was like, oh, Hope is speechless. This is good.
I'm never speechless. So listen, and we're working on a pitch just to propose the service to your point that they don't think they need or don't know they need. And very much just going through that value prop. And I believe you guys use Disney as one of the case studies.
Yeah.
Listen, the best accelerator, because unlike the others, don't get me wrong, other accelerators, you were nice. It was good. Okay? It was good. But this one just came at such a timely time in the business. And sometimes as a CEO, you do feel responsible for knowing all the things. That's why these types of programs are super important, because the team is like, I'm looking at Miracle to take care of the staff and make sure operations is running. And she's looking at me to make sure I have everything I need in order to build this strategic plan. And she's, yeah, I'm going to help you, but what's your ideas? And you guys gave me everything to make it happen.
Yeah, for me, what really stood out was the breakout session. So you guys set the tone day 1. We're going to learn something and then we're going to talk about it. So it's almost like you got to listen because there's a pop quiz shortly after. And so not most, but some accelerators, they're just talking at you and you never have that time to apply what you're learning. But this is like, you're about to apply right after. So pay attention.
Yeah, and I think that is like the thing that we stress the most, and something that I wanted to see when we were putting together this format. And as this is maybe our 4th iteration of this particular accelerator, but like you, I've been in many sessions, many classes, and it's like you're in it and then you got a workbook and you're like, I'm never touching this again. And it's no, let's do it here while we've got the time. And we got so much feedback from people in the last cohorts that were like, we just wish we could stay longer. And so before they used to be 2 hours. So this section, we made it 3 hours just so we could have that extra breakout time. Because I think once you're in it, you're like, I might as well stay and do the work here. So I think that's great feedback. Okay, so before I let you guys go, if someone is listening and they're trying to decide if they want to apply for our next cohort, what would be your one piece of advice for them?
I would say if you're looking to understand the basic really pillars of business. So that's another thing I didn't say, that you guys hit all the pillars of business, from collaboration to capacity building to just really understanding and applicable experience in learning. You would want to join this accelerator, the SmartCEO Accelerator. It almost felt like research was done and a product was put forth, versus a product is put forth and then we're all just trying to figure it out. It's like you can tell the time and the attention spent to help you grow. Oh, and they give you everything. Like, it's not, you now have to pay for this. So I say the value add to your business is going to be tremendous, no matter what stage of business that you're in.
I would say just do it. Stop making excuses and just fill it out and be done.
I love it. Get it done. Take action now. Oh, wonderful. I just love the work that you all are doing. I think that it's timely. I think it's necessary. And so I'm excited to see the impact that you all will have on the workforce and the future of work, as we're calling it. And we'll proudly say those were our SmartCEO alums out there killing the game. So thank you for your time. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the SmartCEO Podcast. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Kyra Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.